So today we're going to be discussing some strange things that are taking place across the world and across America. We're going to talk about how we see terror attack in America, not across the world in America. But guess what? Some news media is saying it's just this white male, which is very much incorrect. We're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about strange things with retail stores, being that this is the first and second day and the first week of June. What does that actually mean for America and for quote-unquote pride? We'll discuss it. Also, strange things happening in Illinois. Can you believe that you've been trying to save money? You've been trying to buy your things online. Do you know they have a new tax and a new implementation of taking money from you by you ordering online and those things getting shipped to you? You're going to end up paying another tax. Is that really what you want? Another tax from the government? We're also going to discuss that there is words that Republicans are not wanting to codify any DOJ cuts before midterms. If they do that, they will probably lose they'll probably lose, to be honest with you. So therefore, no codification of DOJ cuts go in because we don't have a GOP that actually is representing its people. And lastly, we're going to discuss how important it is to make sure that you are protected, meaning that you understand how to defend yourself. We're seeing the situation in Boulder. Just like I told you with my own town, we're seeing gang activity happen more and more. We're starting to see cities fall in disrepair. We're starting to see polarization. We also see, again, threats of World War III because Zelensky is really pushing. Russia is really pushing. So why can't we just say, you know what, we're going to protect ourselves. We're not going to allow anyone else to worry about that. We're going to talk about several reasons today of why it's important to defend yourself and be a prepper, and not only for food, but how to protect the things that we buy. That means self-defense. Let's dive into these stories and a few more. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. I'm humbled again by your presence, and thank you again for watching our content. Now, today we're going to be talking about the importance of making sure we're protected and having self-defense. Now, because of that, and the reason we're talking about that is because some of the strange things that has went on just in the last 24 to 48 hours. So let's start off first with Boulder. So Boulder has another gentleman that's saying free Palestine and literally throws Molotov cocktails into a building. Now, people were injured, and of course I think there's even been some fatalities. I want you to listen to this. This is from an account I follow on Twitter. It says, just so we're clear, over the last 2 months, pro-Palestinian extremists torched PA Governor Shapiro's mansion with his family inside, murdered 2 Israeli embassy staffers in D.C., and firebombed a Boulder, Colorado vigil. 4 Israeli hostages. So the polarization in our nation is happening more and more, and you're starting to see such a split between. So the reason we talk about defending ourselves and having protection, here's why. A prime example, this is why you've got to be the one to protect yourself. Boulder police chief, he comes out and says, we're not calling this a terror attack yet. It would be irresponsible. It's way too early to speculate a motive. Now this guy was coming out literally spewing these things, and they busted him, and now the police chief saying, well, we can't call it terror yet. Listen to what MSNBC says. MSNBC reports that the Boulder, Colorado terror was a white male. They even show a picture of him. Guess what? He was not a white male. This is how you cannot trust the media. The gentleman's name was Mohammed Solomon. He is a legal immigrant from Egypt. FBI comes out and confirms that this is who it was, and he did quote unquote say free Palestine. He used a flamethrower and Molotov cocktails. Here's the thing. I want you to listen to this. He should have never been here. But because we opened the border, he was here. And because these cities, like Boulder, Colorado, like New York, like California, that is holding up ICE, they can't deport them. Like these judges. So, to me, if I was a lawyer of some sort and I was part of the DOJ, unlike Pam Bondi, but someone like a Stephen Miller would come out and say, look, you know what? I'm going to actually sue Boulder, Colorado, and their police chief and their mayor. I'm going to sue Colorado, Jared Polis, because what's happening here is they are withholding information and not allowing ICE in there to deport people like this, and all of a sudden this guy commits terror in those towns. Guess what? But the police chief of Boulder says, well, we can't speculate on what he's doing and why he's doing this, and what he might just be estranged. But no, we find out that he literally is a terrorist, not from America. Laura Luma said this, and I thought this was really good. She says, we're going to see something like an October 7th attack here. We're literally going to see it on our grounds because we're allowing for these things to take place. We're allowing for mass migration come in America. We're not allowing Donald Trump to actually take them out as much as he would like to because of these judges and because of these cities and these states. And now, even in these liberal areas, that the destruction is happening in these areas. I mean, this is happening in D.C. This happened in Pennsylvania. This happened in Colorado. All the places that Democrats rule that said you cannot come in with ICE, they've all had problems with these Free Palestine people. What are we doing? This is why you have to make sure that you are defending yourself and arm yourself. There should be no reason that you are not getting good training to make sure that you can protect yourself. Are you carrying? You need to. Do you have an enhanced carry? You need to. Do you understand how to utilize self-defense? You need to. Now, good. I mean, again, I did years of karate. I'm very well skilled in 2 or 3 different versions of karate. But you better believe I'm always carrying. Why? Because these may get me far, but not too far. The self-defense tool that I'm wearing on me will get me a lot farther. This is why it's important to understand the problems that we're facing. Also, what about the disturbing things with June? June comes out as always Big Pride Month. Now, the good thing is you have Target, Walmart, even a lot of NFL teams are not embracing it this year. That's wonderful. Target actually is getting boycotted now by the liberals because they're promoting Father's Day instead of Pride. That's phenomenal. I think that's great. So that strange event is actually good, but here's what's happening. Because of that, you're starting to see maddening and madness with the movement of Pride and the LG alphabet. You're starting to see them get more degenerate. Did you see the Pride Parade they did in these liberal towns just yesterday on June 1st? It is so degenerate, and I mean just outright nudity in front of children. And we say that's the expression of free speech. All the while Christians in Colorado are getting arrested because they're very open with their Christianity. You can get thrown in jail in Colorado or fined, but then you can walk absolutely no clothes on with a rainbow flag across you, and that's called freedom of speech. That's a problem. That's a major problem. So now we talk about self-defense and making sure we're protecting ourselves. What about when it comes to spiritually defending yourself? I'm sick of seeing weak men. I'm sick of seeing conservative men back things they shouldn't have backed, or either they're scared to actually back Christian values. I'm so sick of seeing Republican conservative, quote-unquote conservative Congress who actually are not standing up on principle, who don't want to codify the Doge cuts because they're scared to death that they're going to lose their job because they're cutting someone's free lunch from the government. I'm just sick of that. I'm ready to see strongmen. So we defend ourselves physically with making sure that we're ready for any situation like an October 7th that's going to happen here because of mass migration and because of these liberal areas. Secondly, we talk about spiritually protecting ourselves, seeing that we need staunch conservative Christian men to lead staunch conservative Christian families, to lead staunch conservative Christian families. And if we start seeing that, we're going to see a change in America. But I'll be honest with you, this Glenn Greenwald situation where just very degenerate video, and again, we're all sinners and all mistake makers for sure, but this is absolutely horrendous when it comes to conservatives backing this guy. This is ridiculous. Tucker Carlson, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, all these people who are considered quote-unquote conservatives, Jason Whitlock, all these people are trying to stand beside Glenn Greenwald? What is your problem? Be a Christian conservative man, staunch conservative values, and stand against this and say, look, I'm sorry that he got his private life exposed. However, this is degeneracy, and we need to stand against it. Now, does that not mean that we're sinners? Oh my gosh, we're not going to cast any stones on that. I have made tons of mistakes in my life. But we have to start looking to strive for better. So we need to spiritually defend ourselves and make sure that we're willing to stand upon that. We literally saw some Christian movements, the Episcopal Faith, Christianity Today, which is a liberal magazine that should not wear that name, both of them supporting Pride Months. but then we won't see Target and Walmart do it. It's sad that we have men who are failing the churches, men who are failing the Christian movement. We need spiritual healing. So we're defending ourselves physically, we're defending ourselves spiritually. That's two things we've got to do. Now let's keep on going. Illinois residents, you need to be aware of this. Democrats up in the capital of Illinois are trying to work on a weekend tax that would actually pass to where it would charge you $1.50 per single box that is dropped off at your home. Amazon, prescriptions, DoorDash, Grubhub, Papa John's, whatever it may be, you can be taxed upon delivery. So we need to prepare ourselves financially. Now, why does that have to do with that? That's taking our money, Colby. Because what you've got to realize is the Republicans in the House are not cutting Doge. They're not going to codify it. They're not going to cut the money. Even though Scott Bessent and even though Trump wants to cut the budget, even though this administration wants to actually be fiscally responsible, your Congress will not. You see these local places. I mean, look, they're starting to pass a bill in California. They're trying to pass a bill in California where they're going to cut off senior citizens from Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, and Medicaid benefits, because if they're making a little extra, instead of giving them benefits, they're going to turn around and give it to someone else. And this is for people that are literally living on less than about $40,000 a year in California. That's no money in California. That's literally the impoverished line in California. And they said they're supposed to cut their benefits. So we need to prepare ourselves financially, because the governments of these big cities and these states and these counties are not going to help you anymore. If you rely on them to give you all the needs, they're going to suck you dry. They're like leeches, man. Politicians and our government are like leeches. They want to latch onto your financial benefits and your money. So if inflation doesn't get you, taxes will. So those two things are reasons why you will then rely on the government to provide your needs. So why I say we have to financially prepare is because our national government is not preparing, our state governments are not preparing, our city governments are not preparing. I laugh, my wife took a picture yesterday. So in our local city, which is about 5-10 minutes from us, they're literally repaving roads that are not even needing to be repaved. They're taking stoplights down and putting roundabouts, which is going to cost like $10 million to build a roundabout. They're literally wanting a flow of traffic to be better, so they're putting these blockades in the middle and putting grass in them. I mean, concrete around, put grass in them to make it beautified. And they spent like millions of dollars to do this, and now the grass is like ankle deep. Nothing's been kept up. The curbs are literally falling to pieces already. You know what though? They had a grant to do it. They needed to spend the money before the government took it back. So you see, we're not being responsible with our money on the national, state, and local side. So then we have to defend ourselves by being smart financially. I'll be honest with you, I've been hit tremendously on this channel. It's cut my income in half. Now, does that mean that I'm hurting? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to make the money back. I would love to have my viewership back. But here's the difference. I'm not going to kowtow, and I'm not going to change the way that I'm talking just because of financials. Why? Because I've been smart with our money to say, you know what, if I lose everything, if I lose this channel, it's not going to change my value system. We have to realize that the physical, the spiritual, and now the financial, if we're not financially strong, then we're not going to fight the other battles. I'm serious. If we're not literally trying to stand independently on our own budgeting and make sure that we don't need government handouts, we don't need help. And don't get me wrong, if people are wanting to help you and you're down in your luck, please take the help. Don't be prideful in that aspect. People, if the church or your friends and family are coming beside you and you've lost a job or you're in a hard time, no, that is perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm trying to say though is if we're spending more than we make, and we're relying on the government to give us funds, and we're relying on the government to give us all the needs that we're needing, then therefore we will always be subservient to them, and we will never be able to stand against them. You know why the Congress will not cut and codify these Doge cuts? Is because the people that they quote unquote represent, they know that a lot of those people are getting handouts. Now we're all saying cut, but honestly, when you start cutting, when these congressmen start doing that, it's actually going to hurt a lot of people, because a lot of people are dependent on the government now, and that's sad. So we have to thirdly financially prepare. Before we end this segment on on, you know, financially preparing. I mean, this is prime example about Congress and Senate. Listen to this report. This is an exclusive report, and this was shared by a guy named Aladdin. It says, Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal. I know you've saw their coverage of them going to Ukraine. I want you to listen to their ticket and what they spent of your money now. This is going back to yesterday's video, where we talked about how their reimbursements. Listen to this. While Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal strut through Kiev, jaw-dropping State Department records show of what they spent around June 1st, 2025. These two men, with all their spending, listen to this, is a mind-blowing $403,000. It says the other one, there was another report that went alongside it to just check it. It said was a $411,000. So two reports show the money they spent with their transportation, with their security or whatever they're doing, with their people, with their food, with all they did. Those two senators that are so important to you, trying to start a war, spent $403,000 or $411,000. That's more than usually 2 or 3 families make in a year put together. If you put 2 or 3 family generations together, they don't make $400,000 a year. And these two senators just spent that in a weekend trip going to see Ukrainian leader Zelensky. You better start financially preparing your house. And that means start stockpiling cash, start getting out of debt, and start focusing on trying to grow your food and quit spending money in town. Have budgets, state lists going into Walmart so you're not just buying stuff that looks good. We need to focus on saving money and being smart with our money right now. Representation of people wasting our money, so let's be smart with our money as much as we can. So let's wrap it up. We just talked about financially preparing. We've talked about physically preparing and defending ourselves, because we need to defend ourselves because of the dangers of June and the movement of polarization between the two sides, and the fact that we have now people literally bombing Christians and Jews. In America now. This is not across the world. This is in America. And then we talk spiritually preparing. If we don't have these 3 things working in our favor, if we don't defend ourselves by financials, by physical, and by spiritual, we will literally be sitting there for the government to do whatever they want to do, and we will be weak men, weak women, weak families, and we will see a weak America. I think one thing I realized is no matter how good the conservatives are, quote unquote, that we elect, Trump and administration, I think is actually doing a good job. I really do. But I believe we've been let down by our judges and by our Congress. I've said that like a broken record. So what I've realized, and with this problem with my local town, with the problems with a lot of the states, what I've realized is this. We can only rely on our spiritual healing, our spiritual prepping, focusing on Christ. Are we in end times? I don't know. We've heard that. Are we just in bad times? Maybe. Are we going to see good times again? Hopefully. But ultimately, what we have to do is realize that we have to take care of our families. I cannot rely on my Congress, my senator, my mayor, my alderman, my supervisor, my whatever. I can't rely on anyone else to take care of my family, other than, of course, my Heavenly Father and the fact that He gave these children and my family to me as good stewards. We have to focus on building up our families better. And here's one more thing I want to give you. If you're not in a local church, or you're not in a community group that is trying to do these things together, I don't care if you call it a spiritual association, I don't care if you call it a church, I don't care if you call it a prepping organization, I don't care if you call it a fraternal order. If you're not working together with a group of people that are like-minded, you will struggle. Even though I am a prepper, even though I'm very independent, I'm trying my hardest to build this whole area up of my farm so my kids can grow here and we can build a community around this. I try so hard to make sure that I'm selling to my community so they know where we can work together, where they can buy the things from our farm. We sold 6 piglets yesterday, because I want to see them thrive at their own home. I want to help them. I want to give them education of how to raise these animals, because I want them independent too, to where they're not worried about Smith Mill Farms that is owned by China and them going to Walmart to buy their bacon. So we have to build that community. I had a gentleman yesterday that was ordering feed from me. Now, I don't really make money off the feed. I really don't. It's not even worth my time. But you know why I do it? Because I'm building community. I'm building a like-minded amount of friends and groups. So between Azure Standard, the grocery pickup with like-minded folks, between my homeschooling association with like-minded folks, between the people that homestead and prep and buy food and feed and animals and fruit from me, I'm trying to connect. Why do we do that? Because ultimately, when we stand as a group, we can heal our nation from the lower levels and say, you know what, we need independence. We don't need the government for this. We need independence. We don't need this from you. We can do it ourselves. Guys, focus on these things. The only way we're able to truly defend our families is we spiritually prepare, we financially prepare, we physically prepare, meaning we defend ourselves. We start building community, and ultimately, we find spiritual peace. Guys, focus on these things. Act like men, be the men that we're supposed to be. Raise our families, be the women we're supposed to be. Raise our children so we can build up a new generation of leaders and independent thinkers and wise people versus dependent people on the government. Let me know your thoughts on today's video. Disturbing things, strange things, but through that, we learn to prepare. And how we prepare? We prepare for the worldwide chaos that we see every day. From Ukraine to China, to the Middle East, to America, to our cities. We prepare. Thank you guys for watching. God bless.